Okay, good morning, everyone. All right, this is just like with students. Good morning, everyone. There you go, much better. I like that a lot. Hello to everyone who is live streaming this. Hello to everyone sitting up in room 43, 40, and 30. Great to have everybody here. I know the reason for you being here is not me, so let's go ahead and get this started. Dr. Cooley, if you would, let's lead our students in. Class of 2025, you may be seated. So families, I would like to tell you that this is how the students look every day when they come into the school. Maybe not quite that way, but what a good looking group of students. We're so excited to have y'all here. So again, thank you all for being here. My name is Dr. Robert Spears. I'm the Associate Dean for Student and Academic Affairs here at the School of Dentistry. It's our pleasure to have you here for Dr. Valenza, our 29th, what did we say? 24th. I was just almost there, 24th. White coat ceremony. Numbers, you guys have heard me say numbers and I don't go along very well. So it's an event that we all enjoy immensely and we love being a part of. A little bit of history, just very briefly. This had typically been a first year event. We used to have this during the orientation as incoming first year students to introduce students to the profession of dentistry, the ethics and professionalism that are so part of what this profession is about. Last year, kind of as an offshoot of COVID, yes, our good friend COVID has changed us in a lot of different ways. We moved this to become a second year event, and it was such a meaningful and powerful event to have for our second years. We decided to keep it that way. It's kind of an intro to going into the clinic, and it's a monumental step for them that we like to be able to be here for and to be able to be a part of. And we thank you for being a part of it as well. You've been an instrumental part in their life and getting to this point. They're in good hands here. You've done a good job of bringing them up, raising them well, and we're trying to continue that efforts once they get them into the school. So I'll stop right there. I have a few comments later, but what I really would like to do is introduce the Dean of the school, Dr. John Valenza, to come up and say a few words for us. For those of you who don't know, we're very proud that Dr. Valenza is the Dean of the School of Dentistry here. He is an alum of the school. He's one of the few probably deans around the country who is an alum of the school. He was the first alum, only alum, to be Dean of the School of Dentistry here. That means a lot. He served many different roles while being here at the school, but he knows this school, the programs, and all about it, and his leadership has taken us a long way in becoming the school that we are. Dr. Valenza?
All right. Well, good morning, everybody. So on behalf of the faculty, staff, and administration of the School of Dentistry, my sincere welcome to everyone present here in this room, upstairs and online, to this, the 24th annual White Coat Ceremony. Special thanks to the sponsors of today's event, noted on the back of your program. In addition to those that will be mentioned later by others, we thank the Office of Student and Academic Affairs, the UTSD PACE Center, the UTSD Family and Friends Association, the UTSD Alumni Association, the Texas section of the American College of Dentists, and one of our own, Dr. Glennis Katzmart, UTSD class of 2017. I'd also like to take this opportunity to recognize some special guests who are joining us today. If you'd please stand as I call your name, and audience, if you'd please hold your applause until the end. Our keynote speaker, Dr. Kenneth Horowitz, who will be formally introduced in just a little bit. From the UTSD Alumni Association, President and UTSD faculty member, Dr. Ron Collins, and whose son Daith is a 2006 graduate of our school. Dr. Michael Anton and his wife, Dr. Maggie Krofcheck, past president of the UTSD Family and Friends Association, and who currently have a nephew in our fourth-year class. And two sons and a daughter-in-law who are recent graduates of the school, with one son currently in our oral and maxillofacial residency, and the other to begin that program this summer. And finally, I'd like to recognize all the dentists, dental hygienists, and other dental professionals in the audience who, whether it's faculty, friends, or family members, have or will mentor these young men and women entering our profession. If you would also please stand. Thank you all for joining us today, and thanks for your support of our school. So, class of 2025, who are you guys? Well, you're a pretty diverse group. 42% female, male, 58% female. 20% of you are from underrepresented minorities. 35 different universities and colleges claim you as an alum, led by Texas A&M, the University of Houston, UT Austin, Baylor, and Lamar universities. All but 4 of you are Texas residents, or at least you started dental school that way. 82 of you have bachelor's degrees. One has a master's, one a foreign dental degree. 38 of you have a parent, sibling, or other family member in the dental profession. And your average age is, wait for it, 22. So class of 2025, as you enter dental school, what have you or will you face? Well, in a word, change. You started in the midst of a pandemic. Each year of dental school is different than the one before, and there is much more going on around you. Just to name a few, healthcare and economic change are impacting dentistry. New models of dental practice and dental care delivery have emerged. Dentistry has entered the digital age, and that includes UTSD. Also at our school, we'll be implementing new clinical teaching and student assessment models this fall. And beginning in the fall of 2024, it's right before you get out, we will launch a new curriculum that reorganizes our educational program into 3 themes: the art, science, and practice of dentistry. while continuing to weave throughout the program threads such as diversity, evidence-based dentistry, ethics and professionalism, genetics, geriatrics, health promotion and disease prevention, nutrition, and so much more. Exciting times. So class of 2025, what does this mean for you and your future? Well, while there are no shortages of rankings and polls out there, one of note that was published just this week is the annual U.S. News and World Report, Best Jobs in America. Overall, dentistry is ranked number 10 and number 4 among those in healthcare. Sounds pretty good, huh? And what criteria were used for these rankings? According to the report, it was median salary, unemployment rate. There are, yes, a few dentists unemployed. A 10-year growth volume, future job prospects, stress level, and work-life balance. But there's more, some of it not so positive. If you read the descriptor in the report about dentistry, it says, many people dread the dentist. When they open wide, they're afraid what the dentist will find. Yet another cavity? Or even worse, is it time for a root canal? Will the dentist embarrass them about their flossing frequency or their coffee drinking? Will they push procedures that patients don't want? Fortunately, the report goes on to cite Dr. Ada Cooper, a consumer advisor for the American Dental Association and a private practicing dentist in New York City, who says, these concerns are why establishing trust is so important. Patients have to know that dentists are doing what's best for them. And they can do this by being honest, ethical, and compassionate. 3 qualities Dr. Cooper looks for when she is hiring at her practice. She also highlights the importance of good communication. Why do I share this with you today? To hopefully reinforce to not just you, class of 25, but everyone here, that dentistry really is about more than just teeth and gums. And students, I'm sure you'll recall our conversation a few weeks ago. You remember, we met a few weeks ago, right? About what it takes to become successful. Not at the top of the list was your technical skills. Not that hand skills are not important. We are, after all, dental surgeons. But as we talked, it's about communication, preparation, attitude, and being coachable, just to name a few. And in just a few minutes, you'll hear about others from our keynote speaker. So in closing, let me say to you, our students, that donning your white coats today is more than a symbol. It's a pledge, it's a commitment, a responsibility to serve humanity. And to be professional at all times, in all places, in real life, online, and otherwise. I know that as you progress through this next phase of your education, you will place your patients first. You'll work together, celebrate your diversity, be involved, and stay current. So members of the class of 2025, congratulations. Best wishes to you as you take this next step. I know that you're going to do great. And always remember, we are UTSD. Thank you.
So I've told many people, I get asked, how long are you going to stay here? How long will you work here? As long as that man is still dean here, I'm still here. He leaves, all bets are off. All right, it's the truth. It's the truth. All right. Okay, so a couple just brief comments before I bring up our next speaker. So when I look out amongst the group, let's think about what's happened in our first year and a half here at the school. We've overcome a lot of different things. We have some people who've gotten married. We've had some births we have new members to the class of 2025. Lots of things have happened amongst y'all. It's been our privilege to share in a lot of that, but it's a journey, a year and a half. Think of how fast that year and a half has gone. You know, we tell you when you come in, those 4 years will go so quickly. Nobody ever believes me when I say that at the start, but it has. It's hard to believe we're sitting here doing white coat, you know, a year and a half in. We're excited to see what happens in that next 2.5 years. So those you don't know, they're getting ready to embark on their clinical career. They've gotten assigned patients. And you can imagine there's some excitement, maybe a little fear and trepidation, but all in all, they're trained and they've been trained well to achieve that next task at hand and become that dentist, that healthcare provider that we so want them to become. So this is an exciting time. So thank you for all that you've done so far. So I want to call up Dr. Michael Anton. So past president, as Dr. Valenza mentioned, of our Family and Friends Association. Say a few words, Dr. Anton.
Good morning. My name is Dr. Michael Anton. I'm an alumnus and graduate of the University of Texas School of Dentistry. I'm here on behalf of the UT School of Dentistry Family and Friends Association. Congratulations on becoming one of the most, a member of one of the most best professions in the United States today and making UT School of Dentistry your home for dental education. My wife and I graduated in 1987. At that time, it was called the University of Texas Dental Branch. Proud to say that we currently have 3 students here at the dental school, 2 sons that are in oral and maxillofacial surgery, and I have a nephew that is a 4th-year dental student. We also have a daughter-in-law who's a recent graduate. To the parents, grandparents, friends, and spouses, I'd like to welcome you to this wonderful school and encourage you to join our organization. UT School of Dentistry Family and Friends has been around for about 30 years. We support things like this activity, the white coat ceremony, the dental prom, the dental Olympics, and student organizations. We work together with Dean Valenza and other faculty and try to figure out how we can best support your students. It's kind of like a PTA for adults. Family and Friends Association has helped with the purchase of microwave ovens, industrial refrigerators, things that the students use during the day. More importantly, we coordinate with 1 or 2 days of breakfast or snacks to help the students get through finals, and the DS4 students required to take exams for licensing, and we also try to provide breakfast and lunch for them. Your students are now entering the top of the academic pyramid. They have more material to learn and more significant demands on their time. Our goal is to support them whenever we can. To continue this type of support for your students, we need you to join our organization and volunteer at these events if you live in the area. It's a great way to stay involved, see what's going on with the school and with your students. More importantly, please consider supporting the organization with your donation. We've already had several people stop by the booth today, and we really appreciate every penny that we get. UTSD is not only one of the top dental schools in the country, but it's also one of the most affordable. Hopefully, you can use some of the money that you save by not sending your child to USC at $150,000 a year tuition only and kick that over to the Family and Friends organization, just a small piece of that. We'll take it. I urge each and every one of you to stop by our table. We're back in the lobby and join us today. Class of over 100 students. Everybody gives something. It's going to make a big difference. And remember, this is for the students. No one else benefits from it. It's your students going over the next several years, 2.5 years to be specific. I thank you for your time. Look forward to meeting you all over the next few years. And again, congratulations to all of you. Best of luck during your time at UTSD and beyond. Thank you.
And if I may, I would definitely like to put in a plug for the organization. If you're here local, please get involved and help out. If you live somewhere else, Monticello, there's all kinds of different ways you as families can contribute and can help. We do as much as we can for the students, but there's other incidentals, as Dr. Anton was mentioning to you. Your support, your help goes a long way. So they need all the help that they can get, physically, monetarily, whatever that case may be. But Stop by the booth when we're done this morning, say hello, introduce yourself, ask what you can do to help the Family and Friends organization. They'd love to talk to you and love to have you be a part of it. All right, next I would like to welcome Dr. Glennis Katzmark, past president of the Greater Academy of General Dentistry, to come up and say a few words. Dr. Katzmark?
Good morning. Morning. Y'all said it back. That was so nice. Thank you. My name is Dr. Glennis Katzmark, and I'm here today representing the Houston Academy of General Dentistry. I wanted an opportunity to speak because I'm 6 years since I graduated, so 6 years of dentistry in May. So I'm out long enough to have some insight, but I remember sitting in your chair. And it's strange for me to say back in my day, meaning I'm getting older, you say that when you get older, I guess. Back in my day, I got to sit in your chair ignorant. It was nice, okay? Because when I was in your chair, I remember the highlight of my life at the time was getting into dental school. Y'all remember that when you got your email? Yeah, you do. You got it. And you were like, I did it, right? You're like, I did it. That's all the hard work. It's all paid off. I don't know any dentist who didn't go to dental school, not one. And so this is it. This is my life. To me, it felt like a pathway or a doorway I was about to walk through that guaranteed I was going to be financially successful. I was going to be respected in the community. I remember turning to my husband and saying to him, this is the best day of my life. And he looked upset, and the reason was we had just gotten married. And I still mean it. It was the best day of my life. I love him so much, but getting into dental school was a big deal. But what I didn't realize is that it's not a doorway at all. Y'all are not sitting in ignorance. You know, right? It's been a year and a half. It's not a doorway, is it? You didn't just walk through. It's a crucible. It's hell. Every day you wake up and you get your butt kicked, and you're supposed to enjoy it, right? But you don't. And now that I've been out for 6 years, I can tell you, as an older person and a wiser person, the crucible is a requirement. What a crucible means is you go in a person and then something happens to you and then you're a different person. And you look back and you're like, I don't even recognize them. They used to cry whenever homework was due and you weren't quite prepared. And now you're like, I don't care. I walked in, I survived that, right? Yeah. Crucible, you're different. You're a new person. And what I really didn't expect is that I'd survive dental school and then I'd become an associate and have to lead a team. And I had another crucible. I had to learn how to communicate and be a leader. And then I had to buy a practice and sign a dotted lie that gave away potentially my children's future if I don't get it right, right? Crucible. You got to continue to step up. And what I'm surprised about today is that I'm looking for them. I'm looking for opportunities to get my butt kicked all the time. And I'm grateful for them. And I wouldn't have expected that in life. I really thought I'd be sitting cush by now, and it just won't happen. The Academy of General Dentistry is about getting your butt kicked regularly, looking for opportunity to challenge yourself, finding the periphery of what you know and pushing past it. And I love it. I love it all the time. We have about 6 to 10 events a year whenever we answer deep burning questions like how to present comprehensive care to patients, how to do an aesthetic case, change lives, not just burrow through teeth, right? Actually changing lives. And I love it. I'd encourage you guys to continue finding your challenge, whether or not you do AGD. Keep looking for opportunities to go through the gauntlet to really light your fire. I'm so proud of who you are today. A year and a half into dental school is a big deal, but I'm even more proud of who you'll become. I'm very proud of you all. Congratulations, and congratulations to the parents.
Such words of wisdom. I knew Dr. Katzmark back in the day. And I wouldn't have expected any different. There was a reason why we asked her to come here and be a part of this. Lifelong learning. I think you've heard us say that a time or two, and it's embodied by all the words that she just said to you. All right, so at this time, it's my distinct pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker for today. If I were to sit here and go through his total accomplishments, accolades, I'd probably be another half hour standing up here and talking. So I'm going to give you the much abbreviated version, but I want you to understand what an accomplished individual, dentist, all-around individual Dr. Kenneth Horowitz is. So briefly, he served in numerous leadership positions in the profession at the national, state, and local level. In 2010, putting his money where his heart is, Dr. Horowitz established an endowed fund in ethics and professionalism here at UTSD. He's been gracious enough to serve as the keynote speaker for all of our white coat ceremonies. So with that, please give a warm hand to Dr. Kenneth Horowitz. This one?
See, what happens is I like to walk around to speak, so they cut the dais down, so I can't go anywhere. And so I'm going to stay here for a while, talk to you about a subject that's very near and dear to my heart, and that I hope will be dear and near to your hearts. I'm grateful to the dean because he's been certainly nice enough to ask me back. I'm grateful to the faculty who come every year to hear the same talk. And one of them said to me today, cut it short because I fall asleep. Well, I said, I'm saying to you all, I have cut it shorter. I can't tell you how short, but the only thing I can tell you is if the faculty falls asleep, it's okay. I don't want the students to fall asleep because what I have to say is pretty special. And I'm going to change it up a little bit because I'm going to ask the students at some point in my talk to respond. And when you respond, after I give you the prompt, I want you to do it loudly and clearly. The reason I do it is because I want you to remember the one particular quote that you're going to be responding to. I love to speak to the family, the parents, the grandparents, the spouses, the significant others, anybody who has been through with you the 4 years of dental school. So I want to say welcome to the class of 2025. I graduated in 1961. And I can recall my first year in the clinic, I had never given a mandibular block. And I went to one of our instructors, Dr. Kennebeck. Dr. Kennebeck was the retired general of the Air Force. He had been the Surgeon General of the Air Force. And I said, you know, I'm going to have trouble with this. I'd like for you to come and help me. So he came in, he explained it to me, he gave the injection, and when he got through, he said to me, that's the first injection I've given in 30 years. And you know, that statement made me feel pretty good because if he hadn't forgotten about it, I figured it was easy to learn. I want you to know it's a privilege and an honor for me to welcome you as you start your journey on the quest for dental knowledge. You've embarked on a trip that can be both exhilarating and frustrating, meaningful and dreadful, fulfilling and humble. You are to be congratulated on having chosen and been chosen to be a part of one of the finest professions in the world. You have started and are into the 4-year curriculum of dental school called hell. I am sure as you progress, you will experience some trepidation, some fear that makes you feel, dream about law school, medical school, or business school. Don't fret. Don't give it a second thought. I know you have made the right decision. But what is even more important, you will know you have made the right decision very, very soon. The further along you progress in your studies, the more relaxed you will become. And when you do that, the more you will learn. When you sit at commencement in 4 very, very short years, 2.5 for you, you'll remember this quote from Henry Willard Austin. He was a 19th century author and philosopher. And he said, quote, "Genius, that power that dazzles mortal eyes, is really perseverance in disguise," unquote. By the way, does anybody know the difference between genius and stupidity? Genius has limitations. My task today is to speak to you concerning, yeah, it's a little late coming, but at least you're thinking, why do we talk about ethics? Because dentistry holds a special position of trust within society, a contract, if you will. And as a result of that trust, the profession makes a commitment that its members will adhere to the highest ethical standards of conduct. It is impossible to talk about ethics unless the purpose and role of wealth and property are made very clear. A society where property and wealth are unimportant or considered evil will have no problems with ethics. At the other extreme, a society where people believe that wealth is the sole purpose of human existence will find it almost impossible to maintain any kind of economic morality. Their obsession with wealth is so great that it will run roughshod over any ethical system. John Maynard Keynes said, quote, "The love of money as a possession, as distinguished from the love of money as a means of the enjoyments and realities of life, will be recognized for what it is, a somewhat disgusting morbidity, one of those semi-criminal, semi-pathological propensities which one hands over with a shudder to the specialist in mental disease," unquote. Dentistry has never viewed poverty as a virtue. Substance has always been seen as a challenge. Dentistry places many social and charitable responsibilities on the financially stronger and emphasizes the need to prevent exploitations of the weak. Many elements of our society do the same. Moral professional behavior encourages long-lasting and successful relationships, and more important, loyal patients. Ethics is aptly defined as the science of the moral, obedience to the unenforceable, as it is explained in all of the booklets that you read about professionalism. Ethics is the inherent personal honesty in daily living. The measure of its quality should not fluctuate, but should be steadfast and lasting. In fact, it should be measurable so as to assure there is right and wrong about it. The question is, can one be a little ethical? Or the better question is, can one be a little unethical? The answer is no. It is my opinion that ethics is very similar to pregnancy. You either are or you are not. The rub, however, is whose standards are you to be judged by? I'll approach this question from a philosophical point of view and then leave it to you to extrapolate your own answers. Much of what I say has been gleaned for others. Some is my own prejudice, and all is subject to change, for our lives present constant change. My concept of ethics revolves around values. How do you value your self-esteem? Should we have thrown out the simplistic morality of our elders, your grandparents? Remember our ethics definition, the science of the moral. Our elders thought life was so uncomplicated that we could always think in terms of right and wrong, honest and dishonest, moral and immoral. As Mark Twain said, quote, "Do the right thing. It will gratify some people and astonish the rest, unquote. But the traditions went by the way, and we were left with a gray area where if we manipulated the facts long enough and hard enough, we could justify anything. And I realize now how much philosophy and morality were taught at home and at school when we were more naive. Disagreements were settled without lawyers. Now we must be concerned with the possibilities of lawsuits around every corner. Challenging our opinions on the treatment of our patients. Was the naivete of our parents better? That is a question you will have to answer for yourselves later on in your practice life. In my concept, ethics centers around values, and therefore you must include a value system. We need it as a society, we need it as individuals, and we need it as professionals. My value system has 4 cornerstones, the first of which is trust. So far, we have not lost it. Certainly not to the extent that the medical profession has. However, I would put it to you that trust has been temporarily mislaid in everyday life. Our doors and windows are locked against intruders. Some patients in our practices, as well as non-patient entities, are questioning our diagnoses, our treatment, our fees, and even whether persons other than dentists should provide treatment. So trust in each other and know that only good can come of that trust. We must accept the age of consumerism not as an absolute entity, but as a way to foster education to the public that we serve. It must be done in such a way that they will realize and accept our limitations and our uncertainties, while at the same time, they will glory in our abilities to work minor miracles immediately, with the major ones taking a few hours. Stay on the right track while you're in school and embed this trustworthiness in yourself so deeply that it can never be removed. The second cornerstone is truth. I say be wary when telling the truth becomes secondary rather than an integral part and purpose of your dental information. It is a dynamic entity, never absolute, and is inseparable from honesty. And you're dealing with your fellow students, faculty, family, and friends, and later on with your patients and your colleagues. Never falter from truth and honesty, regardless of the temptations. So gather information, acquire knowledge, for knowledge is power. In his Ethics of Belief, W.K. Clifford tells us, quote, "We have no right to determine values on incomplete information," unquote. This leads us to the third cornerstone, which is intelligent thought. It is the first step to greatness. It precedes and supersedes talent. Many people have talent, but never become great. Many are called, but few are able to serve. We all have thought processes. What is intelligent thought, and how does it affect us ethically? Make you think, ponder your decisions over the last year and a half and the next 2.5 years. Will intelligent thoughtfulness contribute to your decision making? Believe me, as difficult as it is now, it will be more difficult in the years to come. The fourth cornerstone is honor. A good name, public esteem, a person of superior standing, one whose worth brings respect. Remember, there is no honor among thieves. I remember when the honor system was employed at this school. Why did we stop? Maybe it was because honor has to do with self and colleagues. One has to honor oneself and one's profession above all. It requires that if someone breaks the code of honor and strays, they must say so. And also one has to tell if someone else breaks the honor code. It is a lofty goal. Unfortunately, we have adopted a different way of thinking. The statement, never rat on a dishonest colleague, translates to never rat on a rat. If I allow my colleague to be dishonest, then I am dishonored, and my profession is dishonored. Heavy stuff, this honor, this idea of professional ethics. It must come from your value system. It may change over time, but changes should evolve gradually and not appear whimsical. As we people of the healing arts have lived with this science of the moral, from Maimonides and Hammurabi to the Dentist Pledge, which you will take later on. From the ancient Hebrew writings, the ethics of our fathers, to the new codes of professional conduct and ethics of the American Dental Association. Compliance with the principles of ethics passed down through the years is a moral obligation of all dentists. We in the Alumni Association are here to help you in your quest for these ethical values. We honor you. We are intelligently thinking about you. We trust you, and that is the truth. But what of professionalism? I would submit to you that there is a difference between a trade and a profession, and I believe it is professionalism. We look upon one another as colleagues, not as competitors. We are servants, not merchants. We provide services, not commodities, and our allegiance is to mankind, not to material wealth. Seems to us that some of us have come full circle from the dentistry of the early 20th century. Crash commercialism permeated much of dentistry. Most dental education was proprietary. Advertising was rampant, and many practitioners were involved in dental commercial ventures. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Dr. L.D. Pankey defined professionalism as, quote, that quality of conduct which accompanies the use of superior knowledge, superior care, superior skill, and superior judgment toward the benefits of another person or society prior to consideration of self-interest, unquote. Professionalism is measured by relationships, and there are 4 relationships that you must consider. Number 1, the doctor-patient relationship, the most important of the 4. Be cognizant that the duty of a dentist to the patient is more than just an obligation incurred by a contractual agreement. Your relationship must adhere to the highest principles of education, skill, judgment, and concern. You must not compromise your principles for ego or for wealth, and you must be realistically idealistic in the treatment of your fellow man. Number 2, the doctor-doctor relationship. You can start that relationship now because you are surrounded by your colleagues, not your competitors. Help each other, and you help yourselves. Be generous with your knowledge. Do not fail to come to a colleague's aid. Always remember to give each other the benefit of the doubt, and do not be quick to criticize. Number 3, the doctor-profession relationship. Contribute your time and effort to your profession, and always speak highly of it. It's funny. When people introduce me as Dr. Horowitz, they invariably, somebody says to me, what kind of a doctor are you? And I say, the best kind. I'm a dentist. To denigrate your profession is to denigrate yourself. Present your profession at its best, and you elevate yourself to new heights. And 4th, the doctor-community relationship. Professionals put back into the community in which they live that which is commensurate with their position. It's done by charity work, community service, and involvement beyond the average commitment. Now you're going to become, when you graduate, a learned professional. So what constitutes that? Number 1, education beyond the usual level. The dentist not committed to lifelong learning and change in practice strategies has difficulty practicing ethically. Number 2, the right of autonomy. This translates to self-improvement and self-regulation and the right to share that with others. And number three, service to humanity. We have a duty to recognize the reciprocity of the relationship that exists with society and the duty of conventional fidelity, which means your commitment. It is a huge task being a member of a profession and adhering to its professional ethics. This science of the moral, this obedience to the unenforceable. There are many detractors that will be pulling at all of you. First, as you go through this years of your dental school, and then as you progress through your practice life. Hold on to your ideals. Look forward and set your standards high. Do not listen to the doom and gloom people. The world has always been in turmoil. The state of the economy, political controversy, international intrigue are the same chapters of history which have been rewritten time and time again with very little change except the names of the participants. So dwell not upon all that is fear, but look to your own values, and there will be no problem with ethics. If all else fails, look to the golden rule, for it tells it all. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Should we offer more ethics training in dental school? Some say yes, some say no. At this dental school, we believe that you have to be approached and bombarded with the concept of ethics. Humans learn by repetition. Dentists know that better than any other profession because the first procedure you do is the worst procedure you will ever do. And the more you do it, the better you get. And we feel that way about ethics. When you're struggling to get your requirements or to make career decisions and you need the courage of your convictions, remember this quote from Teddy Roosevelt. It is a friend of mine, a favorite of mine. Quote, "It's not the critic who counts, nor the man who points out how the strong man stumbled and fell, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. Credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs and comes up short again and again, who knows the great enthusiasms, the great devotions, and spends himself in a worthy cause. And at best, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls that know neither victory nor defeat." Unquote. As there is in every worthwhile endeavor, there is a price to pay for the privilege of being a part of this profession. So remember this idea if you remember nothing else from today. This is the part where you get to participate. I'm going to read it to you once. Quote, "Whatsoever you want, O discontented man, step up, pay the price, and take it." Now repeat after me. Whatsoever you want. O discontented man, step up, pay the price, and take it. Good. In conclusion, I want to talk a little bit about moral courage. It's not very long. The question I would pose is this: how many of you will possess the moral courage to be an ethical professional, to stand up and be counted in the face of an unpopular cause, especially one that calls for self-sacrifice, material loss, and the possible recrimination of your colleagues? Moral courage requires that we face the deeper and more dangerous internal threat of exposing our ethical position to examination and scrutiny. This question you will ponder over the next 4 years, the next 2.5 years at least. maybe even longer. The future of our profession is in your hands. Treat it thoughtfully and not without fear of making the wrong decisions. Trust your instincts and let truth be your guiding light. Having said all this, I'd like to interject this caveat. Ethics, this science of the moral, does not mean perfection. Given the imperfection of our human race, tolerance to that imperfection must be a part of your ethical makeup. Humans stray from the path of perfection in many ways, many times during our lifetimes. So perfection is not the goal of ethics. Knowledge of this science of morality and tolerance of ourselves and others when we stray is our goal. Closing, I would like to say, my career can be summed up in a paraphrase of a George Bernard Shaw quote that says, "Dentistry is no brief candle for me. It is a sort of splendid torch, which I have gotten hold of for a moment, and I want to make it burn as brightly as possible before I hand it over to you." Thank you for your time, and good luck in our profession.
I've heard that speech a few times. Every time it puts me into introspection, thought. And I hope it does the same for you. It should be inspiring. There are words there that you'll take with you for the rest of your career, rest of your life. Okay, how about if we move on to the coding process? Yes. So one thing I want to get across, families, and this is a family process you're going to see. We have family members who are here who will help coach some of our students. Very much a family affair, if you will. I have two students sitting in the front, cousins. I don't remember seeing cousins here before. I have a family, I'll just mention a couple. So the Pruitt family, if you will. Chandler is here to coach her brother, Stanton, and their sister, Sterling. Hi, Sterling, sitting up on the fourth floor, is an incoming student this fall. All right. Speaking of an incoming student this fall, Ryan Epperson is here about to get coded. His sister, Emily, hello, Emily, is sitting up on the fourth floor, an incoming student this fall. The Hunsaker family, oh my goodness, where would we be without the Hunsaker family and all they do and all they contribute to this school? So Joyce being coded by her brother, by her mother, an aunt's going to get involved. This is very much a family event as well. Those of you who have no connection to dentistry whatsoever, you're part of the dental family now. Okay? Thank you for being here and being a part of it. So let's get started. So our first rows of coders, or students, let's go ahead. So, Colby. So you will see we will be coding from each side of the stage, right or left. Different coders will be here. So with that, I want to call up our first coders. So that will be Drs. Abdullah and let's see, Fry will be on the left, and Drs. Allen and Angelova will be on the right. And if you're following along in the program, you're going to see that there might be a little alteration in one person or so. It's just because of the coders and how it's going to fall out. Trust me, I didn't goof up on the name. All right. First up, Hannah Farah Abdullah. Hannah will be coded by her aunt, Dr. Nada Abdullah. Y'all can applaud. There we go. Colby Trevor Allen. Colby will be coded by his father, Dr. Trevor Allen. Haya Alani. Haya will be coded by her mother, Dr. Nada Abdullah. Angela Angelova. Angela will be coded by her mother, Dr. Dragana Angelova, and by her father, Dr. Nicola Angelova. Suhad Ziad Bashnak. Ariana Bagari. Mariam Baldawi. Vishwa Paresh Kumar Bhatt. Kyle David Brown. Kimberly Denise Chapa. Claire Yunhong Chen. Jack Cherry. Our next set of coders will be Doctors Frey and Gao on the left, and Doctors Garcia and Dr. Fry. Oh, Dr. Fry, I'm going to get you to fill in on the left as well. Yeah. Yeah, we like to make Dr. Fry work. Hannah Marie Cooley. Allison Nicole Day. Adam Gabriel de Sequeira. Colin Mitchell Eggleston. Those coats can be hard to put on sometimes. Helen Elizundia. Ryan Epperson. America Garcia. Sergio Andre Garcia. Sergio will be coached by his father, Dr. Carlos Garcia. Peyton Wilford Garnett. Adriana Lynn Garza. Angelique Garza. Caroline Page Jikas. Our next set of coders will be Doctors Win and Win. This is Team Win will be on the left, and Doctors Hurd and Sierra on the right. Kara Grace Gibbon. Davisha Giga. Chase Donovan Gordon. Joseph Alexander Green III. Gadiana Guerra. Abigail Ruth Havner. Go ahead. Haley Renee Hardy. Joseph Heidenhofer. Devin John Hurd. Oh, I forgot to switch off. Never mind. Sorry. That was my big mistake. Noor Hilal. How about now, Devin John Hurd? And he's being coded by his father as well. Alan Coy Ho. Alan will be coded by his mother, Dr. Mai Tram Nguyen, and by his aunt, Dr. Tu Thuy Nguyen. Brandon Hui Ho. Our next set of coders will be Drs. Hunsaker and Hunsaker on the left, and then Dr. Hunsaker and Pearson on the right. Stephanie Hun Huang. Kevin Lee Holler. I'm taking a moment. You'll understand why in just a second. Joyce Elizabeth Hunsaker. She'll be coded by her mother, Dr. Keely Hunsaker, by her brother, Dr. Chance Hunsaker, and by her aunt, Dr. Liz Hunsaker. Okay, now Liz, you got to run back the other side. Oh. Miral Hussein. Austin Xavier Iturralde. Hiba Kamal. Stephanie Kelly. Maher Nasser Khan. Amen Kim. Jinmin Kim. Brock Kittle. Raven Simone Alexis Landry. Our next coders will be Dr. McBee and Den. Yes? No? Oh, it'll be Dr. McBee and Fry on the left, and Doctors Wynn and Hammond on the right. Paxton Connor Larson. Ramsey Renee Laverne. Hisu Lee. Nicholas Magana. Skylar Mai. Isha Irfan Mansouri. Noah Dakita Manubai. Christina Asha Mathai. Lauren Ray Matrone. Alexandra Elizabeth Mock. Brody McBee. Brody is being coded by his father, Dr. Matthew McBee. Judy Joa McNeil. Our next coders will be Doctors Misra and Tu on the left, and Doctors Miller and Neal on the right. So while we're getting set, I just have to make a side comment that this is kind of one of those moments where you know you've been doing this for a long time, when you see someone like Dr. Neal, who I taught a few years ago, many years ago, with a son now in dental school. I've been doing this a long time. John Kenneth McQuitty. Madison Clarice Miller. Madison will be coded by her father, Dr. Travis Miller. Kavita Misra. Kavita is being coded by her father, Dr. Raj Misra. Daniel Wilson Mitchell. Yeah, and unfortunately, Dr. Neal was like that in dental school. That's all I can say. James Cooper Mormon. Alexa Marie Montemayor. Keaton, whoa, Keaton Moore. Sorry, I was getting ahead of myself there. Nathan William Neal. Nathan's being coded by his father, Dr. Robert Neal. Alex Ton Wynn. Christine Bickby Wynn. Yeah. Rebecca Toe Wynn. Sarah Catherine, I'm off here a little bit. Well, interesting. So I better say Caden Thomas Oki. Yeah, if that's the only mistake I make today, it's a really good day. Sarah Catherine O'Connor. Brandon Dakota O'Neill. Got thrown off by listening to a little Elton John there, kind of. Our next coders will be Doctors Orchard and Patel on the left, and Doctors Pruitt and Pruneda on the right. Jeffrey Ross Orchard. Jeff will be coded by his father, Dr. Nicholas Orchard. Hema J. Patel. Anjali Yagnesh Patel. Anjali will be coded by her mother, Dr. Purvi Patel. Justice Ty Pivoto. Andrew Qui Pham. Brandon Mun Pham. Emma Jane Pickup. Stanton Joseph Ralston Pruitt. Stanton is being coded by his sister, Dr. Chandler Pruitt. Yeah, get in there. Sierra Ann Quevedo. Natalie Anai Pruneda. Natalie is being coded by her sister, Dr. Claudia Pruneda. Our next set of coders will be Doctors Horowitz and Long on the left, and Doctors Franzen and Collins on the right. Salam Rabadi. Bethany Ann Rawlinson. Julieta Ray. Chase Rabordi. Blinded for a moment. Fallon Elliott Ross. Iman Rustum. Farida Ahmed Swalem. Colton James Shepard. Sophia Shi. That's my student. Shiza Haroon Siddiqui. Derek Allen Sung. Shreyas Suresh. Megan Nicole Thigpen. James Taylor Tidwell. It was hard for me not to say coach. Juan Uribe. Lauren Alexa Villarreal. Ui Vu. Sally Wong. Andrew George Wilkins. Kara Yijin Zhou. Got out of order. Just waiting for Kara. Class of 2025, if you would, please stand, turn, face the crowd, wave to the cameras back in the back. Our class of 2025 white coatees. Okay, all right, thank you. We can be seated again. Just a little bit left to do here. So at this time, I would like to invite Dr. Ron Collins, President of the UTSD Alumni Association, to the podium for a few remarks. Dr. Collins.
Morning, everybody. I was introduced as Dr. Ron Collins, but for my students, my employees, and my patients, I prefer Dr. Ron. I think it creates a little less formal one-on-one relationship rather than one of implied superiority. Now, besides being a current president of the Alumni Association, I'm also a part-time volunteer, clinical instructor 1 day a week. I tease John that I volunteer because he doesn't have much leverage over me that way. Last week, when I was reviewing today's program, I noticed my title, Words of Wisdom. Now, there's been a lot of words of wisdom already. It's a tough act to follow. I'm not sure why Dr. Spears chose that title for my remarks, but perhaps it was my hair is whiter than his. Interestingly enough, I can remember when I was a student, my hair had a decided reddish tint, and my eyes were clear and white like these students. I'm not sure when the change occurred, but lately when I look in the mirror in the morning, my eyes have a reddish tint and my hair is decidedly white. King Solomon, considered to be one of the wisest men ever to have lived, is credited as the author of the book of Proverbs. In it, he says, "For wisdom is more precious than rubies, and nothing you desire can compare with her." Let me tell you a little story. It's about two schoolmates that walk to school every day. One day, one of the friends looked at his other friend, and he had in his hand a little pouch with a drawstring. He says, "What do you have in that pouch?" His friend said, "Oh, that's where I keep my smart pills." The smart pills, what are those? And his friend takes one and dumps it out on the palm of his hand. He gives it to him and he says, "Well, what are these for?" He says, "Well, if you'll eat one, you'll get smarter." The next day he met his friend and he says, I took one of those smart pills last night and I don't feel at all smarter. Can I have another?" He says, "Well, it'll cost you a nickel." So he reluctantly reaches in his pocket, pulls out a nickel out of his lunch money, gives it to him. Well, the third day he meets his friend. He says, "I've taken two of those smart pills and I don't feel any smarter at all. In fact, I don't think those are smart pills. I think those are rabbit pellets." Friend looked at him and said, "See, you're getting smarter. You're getting smart." Yes, students, you could say that the main goal of the dental school is to train you to be smarter. You learn many new things. For example, you learn to take patients' medical history, record their vital signs. You learn how to restore and remove damaged teeth and how to replace missing teeth. You learn about medical and dental diseases, and you learn how to care for those. And you might say that, in a sense, teaching you is a primary mission of everyone here at the school. Training you to become the most ethical and finest dental practitioners that you can be. And then you graduate. So at that point, many of you may be thinking or feeling a sigh of relief. Finally, the tough sledding is over and the road ahead will be smooth sailing. Well, students, I don't want to burst your bubble or dampen your dreams in any way, but there are going to be many potholes along the way in your future. I'd like you to pause for a moment and think about all the people that have helped you along the way, from your infancy through elementary school, middle and high school, to undergraduate and now dental school. There were many people that supported you, especially your families and teachers. Many of them are here today celebrating this special moment with you. Students, I'd like you to look around. Now you can turn your neck. I'll be teaching you about proper seating at the chair later, but look around at your students. Look behind there. Look around at them. Now look at the dentist in the room. You've seen many of them stand up. Some who coded you. This is a group of people that many of you will know throughout your professional career. This is actually the beginning of your professional family. You may dream about a successful career in dentistry and starting a family with a new house, a new car, a steady income, a healthy bank account, and all the nice stuff that goes with it. And that's okay. But for me, I've learned that true success in dentistry, in fact, in life, is about the healthy relationships we make along the way with your patients. And to me, that is one of the keys to being a success in your dental career. I've frequently told my students that when it comes to deciding what treatment is best to recommend to your patients, follow one rule. And Kenny mentioned it earlier in his comments. That is to recommend to that patient what you think would be best for you at your level of experience and knowledge at that moment in your dental career. I've always felt that if you take care of your patients, the money will take care of itself. And I truly believe that. I remember an instructor of mine in dental school told me that half of everything we're teaching you in school will probably turn out to be invalid. He said, the problem is we just don't know what half that is. And I can tell you from the changes I've experienced and learned in my 50-year professional career, and believe me, students, I love it today as much as I did that first day in dental school. It's a great profession. He was probably right. At times, it may feel like drudgery to absorb all the information we ask you to learn. However, continuing education, as Glenn has told you, after graduation is not only mandatory to keep up with the constant changes, but it actually becomes desirable like those precious rubies. Be cautious, though, of so-called gurus who believe they have the right answers. A little sprinkle of skepticism here is not a bad thing. The school is trying to fill your brains with just a lot of knowledge, but wisdom is the application of that knowledge to best care for your patients. And it only comes with experience and continual learning. While it is the school's primary mission to train you, it is the mission of the Alumni Association to foster those new relationships, either through mentoring, networking, continuing education, or just gathering together for mutual support when you hit some of those potholes down the road. The Alumni Association not only wants to be your professional support group after graduation, but also with the school. We support the students here as well. We not only do this financially, this white coat ceremony is but one example. And by the way, this is the 25th year, but the 24th event because COVID interrupted. That's just one example, but we also provide many other different opportunities to help begin forming and continue forming those professional relationships. That's the association's main goal. I want to thank the dean and his staff, Pay Center, for their support and the opportunity to work together here at the school. I also want to thank our board and our staff, Trish Fullerton and Kathy Zwig, for all the help that they provide. This event doesn't come out without a whole lot of work behind the scenes. It's my hope all of us can continue to work together for the betterment of both our students and the profession as a whole. So I'll close with this. I had a plaque that hung in my children's bathroom, a little poem. It says, you give your kids a couple of things. One is roots, the other wings. So we at the school, the Alumni Association, hope during your 4 years here that your dental roots will be firmly established. That's a pun intended. And we hope as you fly from here on your new dental wings, it will be toward a successful dental career. Thank you and best wishes, students, for a successful future. So next we're going to do the dental pledge. So all the dentists and all the students pull out your little card. I'm going to invite Dr. John up here and we're going to lead you in the dentist pledge. Now we're going to all try to do this together and read together. And John, you can start.
Okay, so all dentists and students, please rise. And as Dr. Fullerton used to always say, we're going to start at approximately the same time and we're going to finish at approximately the same time. Ready? I, as a member of the dental profession, shall keep this pledge and these stipulations. I understand and accept that my primary responsibility is to my patients, and I shall dedicate myself to render, to the best of my ability, the highest standard of oral health care, and to maintain a relationship of respect and confidence. Therefore, let all come to me safe in the knowledge that their total health and well-being are my first considerations. I shall accept the responsibility that, as a professional, my competence rests on continuing the attainment of knowledge and skill in the arts and sciences of dentistry. I acknowledge my obligation to support and sustain honor and integrity of the profession and to conduct myself in all endeavors such that I shall merit the respect of patients, colleagues, and my community. I further commit myself to the betterment of my community for the benefit of all society. I shall faithfully observe the principles of ethics and code of professional conduct set forth by the profession. All this I pledge with pride in my commitment to the profession and the public it serves. I was going to hand it to Ralph.
Yeah.
Thank you. You can be seated. So for some closing remarks, I'd like to ask Dr. Ralph Cooley to come up. Dr. Cooley is our Assistant Dean for Admissions and Student Services. As some of you know, Dr. Cooley is a lot smarter than me. We actually started dental school at the same time, but it took him 3 years to go through school, and I had to take 4 years to go through school. Of course, yes, he went to a 3-year curriculum school. So, Dr. Cooley.
Right. Thank you, Dean Valenza. You kind of threw me off my game there for a little bit. Wow, what a wonderful day. Enough good feelings here to last for at least till Monday, but probably a lot, way beyond that, I think. A few thank yous. I'd like to just thank all the families who came to support your UTSD family member here. Friends, alumni, faculty that have come out for support, to support this great class of 2025. Yes, I saw them when they all interviewed, and we knew they were winners that day. They didn't know they were accepted up, but we knew. There's some other people to thank. We've thanked, I know, the Alumni Association and the PACE Center for their great help. I really want to thank Miss Grace Avila and the amazing staff of Student and Academic Affairs. They put a lot of hard work and time into this too to make this happen. It's a team effort on behalf of the school, so I want to thank them as well. Yeah. Also want to thank Dr. Horowitz for reminding us what the profession stands for and inspiring us once again every year. It's like I've heard it, but it just feels new when I hear it again. So thank you, Dr. Horowitz. Thank you for that. Yeah, we can clap. I want to encourage everybody, this is an open house. So I know it's like, hey, let's hurry and go to lunch, but I want to encourage everybody to stay here, take advantage of this, go see how fabulous our school is. Family, you've got the best tour guide you could ever get right here. So take advantage of that. There's a lot of things to see on the 4th floor. There's a photo booth there. I know the second year class has a fundraising event outside on the table. So take advantage, get a good look at our school. We'd love for you to see it during open house here. You know, part of my job is I talk every day with people that come to interview at our school or tours or visitors. And one thing I always talk about is our culture. And students have heard me say this so many times, and that is our hashtag is UTSD family. Looks good on a coffee cup, looks great on a bumper sticker, but we've seen it in action today. And our students, our faculty, our administration, our support people, they live it out on a daily basis. UTSD family, and we're proud of that. That's why many of us are here, because we believe in the culture and the people that are inside this building, UTSD family. So we're thankful for that. So enjoy the remaining day. Take advantage of this. When you leave, have great celebration this weekend. And congratulations again, class of 2025. I'm just seeing everybody's awake. All right. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Cooley. So that will bring our white coat ceremony to a close. Students, Dr. Cooley is going to proceed you out of this room, and we're going directly out to the front steps to take the class photo. Families, they'll meet you back inside. Everybody doesn't have to rush outside and everybody's going to get copies of the photos. So we're going to get everybody outside, then they'll come back in, find you. This room will be open if you want to take photos inside the room. As Dr. Cooley mentioned, the 4th floor, the photo booth, see the school. Thank you so much. People upstairs, live streaming, thank you for being a part of this. We couldn't do this without you as well. So have a great day. Thank you for being here. Congratulations, class.